Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third edition of the Soccer Brain newsletter. Listen, what we're going to talk about today is every coach has their own ideas, they have their own methodology. But what I want you to do is have the tools to look at what you do right now, apply academic theory to what you're actually doing on the training pitch right now, and see, does it make sense according to academic theory? And what are the adjustments that I can make to what I currently do to make it fit more in line with academic theory? So, the first thing is, we talked about this before, is representative game design. So, is the information, is it real? When I say, is it real? When the player looks, are they picking up other players that are trying to actually defend them? Are they picking up movement of other players? Or is the coach holding up a cone, say a green cone, and the player scans and yells out the color? It's not real information. A green cone has nothing to do with the game, has nothing to do with actual visual perception and coupling your physical actions to that visual perception. So, in that case, the environment that you created is a very low game representative environment. The information is not real. Now, listen, when you go watch Son at Tottenham in warmups, every time he passes the ball to a partner, he scans over his shoulder. Yes, scanning can create a habit, but what are you actually searching for in your visual search? What are you actually attuning to? A green cone. That's not as good as if it was a real player. Two is, are your players making really meaningful decisions on the ball the entire practice session from the very second that they step into that practice? Next, do the players have to adapt and change their intentions? It's a massive thing because if I'm going to work, say, a technical move where I dribble between cones, there is no adapting my intentions. There is no visual search. There is no invitations for action. There's no opportunities that open up and close in real time. The perception is really not even needed. There's no decisions. It's just a technical, physical action with no decisions. The decisions is the really difficult part, right? And in an exercise like that, the last thing that we look for is there emotion? Is there competition? I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming episode. But listen, those are the things you really have to look at when you design these sessions. Now, I'm going to show you in a second different three different environments that I use, right? Now, the scanning will be different in each environment. In one environment, it's a very low workload. It's a 4v1 transitional rondo, one touch. And then when we transition it, the player has two touches. The scanning's not 100%. It's not 100% game representative. Okay. The vision, the perception, it's not, but you are keeping the ball away from a real opponent. So is it representative enough? Yes, it is, because it fits into a workload where the kids could get to the field and start this right away. They're not going to pull a muscle. It's not a huge workload. So from the first second they're on the field, it's meaningful decisions, right? Now, in the second and third exercises that you're going to see, one is a 6v6 plus 5 positional rondo. There's everything in that. That is 360-degree scanning for the center mids in the middle of the field. There's a lot going on in there. There's principles of play. How do we play to attract and then hit the space behind? How do we find the space on the other side? Width and depth. Do the kids need to know anything about the principles of play? Not really. They really don't. But they're going to figure it out because of the environment. Now, you're going to see all sorts of changes of intention, adapting of technique in real time in all these types of rondos. I'll show you a 4v4 plus 4. It's a little less complicated for the middle players than the 6v6 plus 5, where the middle players have to identify their own spaces and stay out of each other's passing lanes. But there's more opportunities for like little rhythm combinations in the middle because there is 3 players. There are some adaptions for these environments. So say you're playing 6v6 plus 5, or say you're playing 4v4 plus 4. How can you adapt that for players who maybe can't move the ball as much? Maybe the 4 defenders, 2 of them have to hold hands. So in pairs, so you have 2 pairs holding hands. Now it's much more difficult to pressure the ball. It makes it easier for the guys on the outside and the 2 players on the inside to start to play. Is that something you could use with 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds? Absolutely, you can. What if the team who wins the ball, instead of counter pressing right away, have to go to the middle and touch hands? Yes, it allows everyone else to get back into position. It allows for this positional organization and for the team to start to move the ball again before the defense immediately counter presses. Those are little changes in the environment that you make to have more success for the players that you're coaching that's right in front of you. Do you have to do that for top level players who are, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old? No, you don't have to do that if their level is good enough, but you have to be prepared to change these environments. Now, there are limitations in these sort of exercises. You're not having the vision and the perception of a 50-yard ball diagonal in and behind the back 4, but that's okay. Every environment that you create is going to be missing something. And it's not a bad thing all the time. So this is why my methodology goes from small to medium to large, positional, constraint-based, possession. Remember, possession is self-organizing. It's not positional. Positional, players are assigned spaces. So that's a little more disciplined. And then you have game model. So you're looking at 3 different environments. Players have to be able to train in all 3 different environments. It makes them a more adaptable, more well-rounded player. Let's take a look at the video right now so I can show you all the environments. So here we have a 6v6 plus 5 rondo. Notice that the 3 players in the middle of the field in red, they're all responsible for their own area, and they're not going to run through each other's passing lanes. So they're all positional, they're all probing space, they're all adjusting their body positions and moving together. So body orientation is always adjusting as that ball is moving. Now they don't have to run all over the place like sometimes you see kids running all crazy all over the place. We got to find space, find space. Find space could just be taking 2 steps, quick shuffle to one side, and opening up your hips. And in this is a less complicated version because there's only 2 players in the middle. Those would typically be your center mids. Here we have a 4v1 plus 1 transitional rondo. Here it's 2 touch on the transition, and it's a very simple game. Obviously, you can see in this game, there's no goals, there's no scoring in this big, little more sophisticated, more complicated possessional game. But there's still high game representation. There's still a lot of value in this. Now, can you add direction? Yes. Can you add goals? Absolutely. You could do the same thing with this 4v4 plus 4. The idea is, though, you can constantly change these environments. Like I kind of told you how you can adapt it a little bit, but you could add direction and you could add goals. Um, and again, this other rondo, this 4v, 4v1 plus 1, it's simple because this is supposed to be a low workload. This is not something where kids are going to stress their bodies out. We could do a little physical in between every 3 minutes just to get them ready.